if you guys do any languages other than Java? I'm just curious. Because when I went to university and I took computer science classes, everybody seemed to already know Java, but I didn't know any computer languages when I was in university. Like, I learned some, but like going in, like I didn't take anything in high school. So everyone seemed to know Java, and then I didn't. But then in university, we didn't really use Java. We used like C and C++, and Python, but no one really used Java. So I always just assumed that, Java, like everyone learns Java in high school. Yeah, I've never. Yeah, I wonder, because I found that Python is really easy to like pick up. It seemed like Python, that to me seemed very easy to learn. Have you ever tried Python before? No? I'd recommend it. Yeah, I'd recommend taking a look at Python, just because it is used a lot in science and kind of like in the applied world, and I think Java is too. But if you're curious to find a different language, I think Python would be a good one, just because it's so easy to pick up. It's what you call an interpreted language as opposed to a compiled language. So like you can compile a Python program, like you can compile it, but it kind of it works really well as interpreted, in that like you kind of just have a command line and then you just feed it sort of commands, and then you can feed a program into it just by like feeding it like a text file, and then it like saves all of your commands into memory, and then you can just kind of interface with it. So it's really neat that way. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I thought what we could do today is and welcome to the other folks who are just logging in now. I think I'm on YouTube now. Let me just double check, make sure that things are going smoothly. Something else happened, in another fire in your back alley? A dead bird. Oh, okay. Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, how big is the bird? Not that big. Okay. Oh, by the way, you left your lunch bag in my room. I found a lunch bag in my room. Yeah, black and blue. I forget how I found it. I think you had like a notebook in there or something. Yeah, you had like a worksheet for, I forget what class. But your name was on the worksheet, so I set it aside. No, well, yeah, you lost it. Yeah, you definitely lost it. I found it though. That makes sense. Yeah, I think that wasn't the first time you left it in my room either. I think there was one time before that you left it in my room, and then you found it. So it is. I didn't like look inside it, so I don't know if there's anything valuable in there or not. But I do have it set aside. So I can leave it at the front office for you if you want, and then you can come pick it up. Oh, nice. So will I. So I'll. What time are you going to be there? Pardon? Say that one more time. 2:30. Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely have it waiting for you by then. And if not, then you can just ask, and they can page me to the office, and I can drop it off. Cool. Yeah. So what I thought we would do today, anyways, is just go over this document one more time. So I did go over it, like I said I would, and kind of just I made sure that everything looks, you know, good, and kind of went over all of the questions. And I know that we already have sort of been through this. So I'm not going to go over it in great detail. I'm just going to skim it because we already have gone over it. But I do want to take this opportunity just to remind everyone that this document is available on Google Classroom now. In PDF form, so you can print it out if you want, excuse me, or you can just have a copy of it, just for your digital records. By the way, I'm kind of curious how this whole remote learning thing has affected your guys' like organization of your school documents, right? Because typically you have a binder, right? And I know that the school division has been really good about, you know, offering like I think that there are groups of I guess they're school workers. I'm not sure what their position is. I think just like the delivery people, because we have our own what do you call it? Like delivery service, like an in-house delivery service. Courier, we have our own courier. So I think that some teachers have actually been handing out like paper booklets, so you actually have like a physical copy of something. And I usually have paper for you as well. I totally like working on paper, but I haven't given you guys a piece of paper since March, right? So I'm just curious how, like, I wonder if now you have everything organized on your computer, or if you still actually have a binder. I assume that you probably still have a binder. I guess yeah, you could. I guess almost everyone is still working with paper, because I do see your assignments. And oh, by the way, yeah, your assignment. I marked your assignment. I just have to total. I just have to total the assignments. Yeah. I guess you guys are using paper, because I do see your paper assignments, and I guess you still have to do it. But yeah, I'm just curious if this has had any effect on your organization. What do you say, folks in the chat? Has this remote learning changed your like organization skills? Like, are you doing more of like a digital, like folders and stuff? What do you think? Mm-hmm. Oh, just in Discord? I think I think the stream. Okay. Just the screen, or is my voice okay? Oh, okay. Oh, I see what happened. I closed the full screen window. The way Discord works is it makes you choose a window to stream instead of like a source. So I have to tell OBS to preview a full screen. They call it a full screen projector. And I mean, half of you guys probably already know this. And then yeah, when this happens, the gray bars show up, which is super annoying. I wonder if maybe I just closed Discord, because we've had this problem in the past. But you know, I think the text is probably big enough to read. Is this like legible to you? Is this okay? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure why that happens, but it happens if I close the full screen window. I'm not sure why I did. I think I just hit escape, and then it closed it in the background for some reason. Anyway, what do you say? What do you guys say? Has this pandemic changed the way you organize your school documents, or do you still just have a binder? I'm just curious. You still have a binder? Anyone else? Has anyone kind of made the switch to kind of more of like a digital file system or anything like that? You've both. Yeah. A car. Nice. That's quite the upgrade. That is a massive lifestyle upgrade. You have your license? Nice. But you can still like drive with someone else in the passenger seat? Like someone who had their license for a few years? That's great. That's a lot of fun. Okay. Oh, just catching up on the YouTube chat. You're a few minutes late. No, you didn't really miss anything important. We're just kind of chatting. And yes, it's ruined everything. You're so much less organized. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, that's a bummer. Yeah, I think that having both is probably a good idea when it comes to organization of your school documents. I think I've spent a lot of time talking about Dropbox, so I won't bore you talking about Dropbox more. But I do think that it is important to have a copy of your work somewhere on a computer that's backed up in the cloud. That seems like a really important thing to me. I think I've probably shown you the file structure of my school, so I won't bother showing you that. But I think that yeah, it makes a lot of sense to just have like a folder for each of your classes and for each year of school. So new year, new folder, and then each class have its own folder. And I can almost guarantee that every class that you have from now on will have some kind of files associated with it. Like I've given you many files. So having a copy of the file can really help in case you lose it. You don't have to go hunting around, mathbennett.com, like, oh, where did Mr. Bennett put that file? It was right here last time, But if you have your own copy of it, then it's just right there, ready to go. Now that you're submitting digital assignments, it's probably a good idea to have a copy of that for your own records, right? Just in case, something weird happens and like, oh, like Mr. Bennett lost my assignment or something. Like that's never happened. I don't think I've ever lost an assignment, certainly not a digital assignment. But even so, like just in case, and also it's good to just have it in your own records. And now that we're using Google Classroom, I'm giving you back a digital file that's been marked up. You could have a copy of that as well. Just having a copy of it can really be helpful, and you never know when you might need some of these documents. So yeah, that's just my recommendation is to have both. So just have all of your digital files, just save them all, and just have them on hand, and then also have your binder for all of the paperwork. Yeah, anyway, let's get into it. So what I thought we could do today is maybe just look at a couple questions, and I don't think I'm gonna like answer any of the questions for you. I mean, part of this is kind of giving you the opportunity to try the questions for yourself, right? And this is something that I think that you should really aim to do at the before the end of the year. Now I'm not going to give you like a solutions guide or any answers to this. I think that it is really important that you are able to like actually understand this for yourself, and not only understand it but actually have the confidence to know that yes, my solution is correct, and thinking of different ways that you can verify these solutions without an answer key. And I think it's safe to say that we've had a lot of opportunity to do math and practice our skills in math while being able to check an answer key, right? So I mean I wouldn't ever go as far to say that you don't need answer keys when you're learning math, but this is we're not learning this anymore. This is a reflection of our learning. So ideally these are the things that we have learned at this point, right? Yeah, I mean, has anyone? I guess it's a little bit early, and I imagine that if you've been doing any math so far, like in the past, few days or since the last assignment, you've probably been working on the project and not this curriculum review document. And I also imagine that quite a few of you probably haven't, quite started the project yet, which is fine. We still have, like, this is our last week, so I think that like today's the day, right? Like if you haven't started it, today's the day to start. So today's Monday, the project is due on Friday. So yeah, I think that today would be a really good day to start the project if you haven't already. If you have already kind of like finished the project, I don't think anyone has, because I haven't haven't received any submissions on Google Classroom for the project yet. In this class, I think that I've received maybe 2 in total from my other classes. So some people are actually finished. But in any case, if you are kind of coming to an end, I would suggest starting this curriculum review document and really going through it and making sure that everything on this makes sense. So having the you should be able to, like, you go through it and make sure that all of those things make sense. And if they don't, ask, right? We've got a lot of time left before the end of the year. You can always send me a message. I like to think of myself as fairly accessible. I know that it occasionally happens where an Instagram message or an email gets sort of lost in the wind. I know that I have missed a few messages, but for the most part, I do reply to as many as I can. Like I do get quite a few messages throughout the day. So I think that like if there's anything on here that doesn't quite make sense, or like, okay, what do you mean by like completing the square to obtain the vertex and stretch? Like, I know what completing the square is, but then what are you talking about with the vertex and the stretch? You know, I'd be happy to talk about this with you. So to go through all of these and make sure that you can do all of the things that you should be able to. And I have to say, I don't actually quite like this language, like the should part. I think maybe I might actually change that, and maybe I'll say something more like you may be expected to be able to do this, right? Should is, I don't really like that word, because it's like, we all have our own life, right? And if something got in the way during this pandemic, then I totally get it, right? Like we're not all perfect, and some of these skills you may not have had time to figure out, and I get it. So should, I don't want to be like, I don't want to be insulting, right? So like if you weren't able to, that's fine. But these are the skills that you'll be expected to be able to do next year in grade 12 pre-calc. So that's what the message is, that these skills are prerequisite for next year's content. I'll just kind of cycle through these topics again, and this may help you for your topic map, right? Just choosing 10 topics, and a topic, I think that a few students have had some questions about the topics, and the topic can be, it really depends. I think I spoke to someone yesterday about the idea of graphing, like, is graphing a topic? And we kind of came to the understanding that graphing would make sense to place on your topic map, right? Because it is kind of like, it's sort of like a thing that we did. But I don't think that it would be a good topic to choose for your project. I think that graphing may be a little bit vague. Now, you could convince me otherwise, but I would imagine that instead of like graphing in general, you would talk about graphing a particular type of function, like graphing a quadratic, or graphing a reciprocal function, or graphing an absolute value function, something like that. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say, is that graphing makes sense to be placed on a topic map, and that could be like a huge hub, right? Because a lot of things you graph, right? You graph a lot of different things, and so graphing could be kind of like the center hub, and then a lot of the topics could be kind of reaching out from graphing. So that could make sense in the topic map, but in the project, I think it might be a little bit vague. And then I would hope that if you did choose graphing as one of your project topics, is to actually focus on something a little more specific and talk about graphing a particular type of function. We've done factoring quadratic expressions using the quadratic formula. One thing that you might want to do for your project is if you wanted to do the quadratic formula. The thing about the quadratic formula is that there's so many other things within the realm of quadratics that's related to the quadratic formula. So if you did do the quadratic formula, there's a lot of sort of outcomes that you can connect it to. Like you could talk about radicals, right? Because there's a square root within the quadratic formula. You could look at how it affects graphing of polynomials, right? So the quadratic formulas, that's a good topic to choose for your project. And then another thing you could talk about is how to derive the quadratic formula, right? So the quadratic formula, you do that by basically completing the square of just that general quadratic equation, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Anyway, definitely another option. Explaining why some quadratics have no solution, so talking about the discriminant, recognizing and factoring a difference of squares, a perfect square, quadratic functions in standard form and vertex form, right? So being able to take a quadratic that's in standard form and converting it into vertex form, that's very similar to the quadratic formula, right? It's kind of almost the same thing. Complete the square to obtain the vertex and stretch of a quadratic function. Again, all of this stuff is related, right? Basically, like this topic right here, the completing the square, is what the quadratic formula is, right? In order to get the quadratic formula, what you do is you just complete the square of the general quadratic equation, right? ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So, and then I'm not going to get into the questions, but I really hope that you can find some time to do these questions. Now, keep in mind that we also have class after, this isn't our last week of class. Next week is. We're just going to be doing some more review. Think of it kind of like the last week of school in a regular school year, right? Like it's not like you're learning new material, but we're still we're hanging out and we're kind of reviewing stuff from the year and kind of doing some reflections and stuff. So I think that next week would be a great time, because you won't be doing the project next week, to be trying some of these level 1, level 2, and level 3 type questions. Rational expressions and functions. I really enjoyed doing this topic with you guys. I find this stuff really satisfying, factoring a quadratic and then sort of canceling terms and stuff. There's a lot of topics packed into these 3 little bullet points. Like simplifying rational expressions and stating all non-permissible values. Like non-permissible values, like that could be a topic in and of itself, right? Also, non-permissible values came up in the assignment, and there was. I'm hoping that I can post the solutions at some point soon, so you can look at the solution to that question. I think it was question 2. I think it was question 2, about like how you can get the non-permissible values or the vertical asymptotes based on f of x, if you're looking at the reciprocal function. Performing operations, so that's adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. All of these, well, I think addition and subtraction would be like one topic, but multiplication of rational expressions, I would say, is a topic in and of itself. Dividing rational expressions, that's its own thing, right? Like there's a lot to say just about dividing rational expressions. Like I think that would be a topic in and of itself. Graphing and analyzing reciprocal functions, another really big topic, right? I really liked this type of question. We did a question similar to this on the last assignment. So I give you the reciprocal function, right? And then you give me the original function f of x, right? So keeping in mind, right, if these are the vertical asymptotes here, that means that that's where f of x is equal to 0, because we're dividing by 0 here. So I know that I'm going to have a point there. I'm going to have a point there, right? Also, wherever we cross -1, the reciprocal of -1 is still -1, so we get a point there and there. So it kind of looks like we have like a sort of like a quadratic, we have a kind of like a symmetry going up and down, whoop, whoop, like that. So little hint, that is a, oh yeah, and I say that right here, hint, f of x is quadratic. So I think that's a really good question. I like these types of questions. Most people got that question bang on. I think a few people were able to draw the original function, but I was asking like what is f of x, so I did want an equation. So not everyone got full marks, but I think most people sort of understood kind of the gist of it. Okay, systems. Okay, so we should be able to find the intersection or intersections if they exist. So basically 0, 1, or 2 solutions in the graph of two functions. I should at some point clarify maybe that two functions, either like two linear functions or two quadratic functions or one of each. Because there are different situations that we look at in this class. Then using algebraic methods such as elimination and substitution to solve these systems of equations. So yeah, we looked at elimination. We didn't do we looked at a lot of substitution. I think we only did like one example of elimination, but they're very similar. So there's that. Okay, yeah, and then, yeah, radicals. This was a big topic. We spent a lot of time with that. So simplifying radicals, writing radicals as entire radicals. So, making sure that it's all just like one big radical. Yeah, rationalizing a denominator, which involves, the conjugate, right? It involves the conjugate. I knew that I had a conjugate question here. So yeah, being able to be familiar with what the conjugate is, solving radical equations. I think we've seen that this can be very challenging. It can require a lot of algebra. Usually involves solving some quadratic. But then there's always like the extra step of having to, verify your solutions, right? Because you may have some extraneous values. And then, performing operations on radical expressions. So add, subtract, multiply, divide. All of these would be valid topics. So that would be like 4 different topics right there. And I think this is the end of it. Yeah, analyze arithmetic and geometric sequences in series. So there's a lot of stuff packed into that one little sentence. So that would basically be like the first 4 weeks of our class, right? We spent a lot of time on sequences in series. That's a big topic. It's a huge topic. And when you say sequences in series a lot, you invoke your best friend Siri, and she chimes in anytime you say her name, because it sounds kind of like you're saying, "Hey Siri." And I think that's it. I guess. And we've already sort of gone through this document. I just wanted to kind of do one more sweep of it. I don't think that now's the time to be doing these questions quite yet. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. These questions are not worth any marks. I'm not going to be marking them. And I also will not be giving you a solution to this. I'll help you with them. I'll have a conversation with you about these questions. I'm hoping that you find a peer or someone else in this class, or even just someone who knows this mathematics really well. I'm hoping that you can find someone to have conversations with about these things. But this is kind of just a reflection of our class. So I'll not be providing solutions to these. So I guess just before I go, I just want to talk a little bit more about the project. If you're in the Discord chat, or if you're on the YouTube chat, would you mind just saying, like, are you having any difficulties like finding topics? Okay, let's start off with the topic map. How are we doing with the topic map? Is anyone finished the topic map, or are we finding there to be any challenges or anything like that? Does anyone want to chime in about that? Okay. You have other projects. So I've heard of one project. I think someone is making Hangman in Java. That's what we started the stream talking about today. Do you have computer science projects, or what other projects do you have? I see. Okay, so you're pretty busy then. When do you think you'll be able to get started on the topic map? Like, are you concerned about the topic map, or do you just think it'll be sort of fairly straightforward? How are you thinking about it? Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. I know that I've recommended to several students to start with the topic map because it might give you kind of a good idea of the relations between the topics before you do the project. Unless you already have the topics decided for the project, which is quite likely. Like maybe you just automatically know, yeah, these are the topics I want to do. These are my favorite topics of the year. Then yeah, that makes sense. But if you're still kind of thinking about, like if you can't decide which topics to do, then you might want to start with the topic map. But I'll certainly trust you that you know what you're doing. Anyone else? How are you guys doing with the topic map? Have we started it? Are we concerned about it? Do we have any questions about it? Mm-hmm. Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah. The topic map absolutely can be collaborative. You can work with friends. My only requirement is just that it's your own work, right? And I've seen this several times this year, and I'm not going to really make a big huff about it because of the circumstances. But normally I would sort of say something. But you know, there has been some instances of people submitting the exact same document, right? I don't want that. If you want to work together, that's great, and find all the topics. Like you guys can have exactly the same structure of topic map if you want, but I want you to make it yourself, right? Like I want it to be like your pencil in your hand on your piece of paper, right? Like if you want to work with someone and kind of make the same document, that's totally fine, but I do want it to be your own work. So absolutely submit your own work. But yeah, working together is totally fine as long as you are submitting your own work. Yeah, I think it's actually better to work with someone because you'll get a good understanding of how other people think of these topics too, and kind of like you may sort of have categorized some of the topics in a specific way in your own head, and having someone else sort of talk about these things, it may be beneficial just to see how someone else sort of considers, oh yeah, well, I actually considered, you know, like these two things to be completely different, or you might think that they're different, but I actually think they're the same, right? So yeah. Anyone else? No, we're good? Okay. All right. So what about the project? So I take it that not a lot of you have started the project. Like I said, that's fine. But I would say today's the day to start, if you haven't already. Does anyone like have concerns about finding topics or choosing topics or anything like that? Mm-hmm. Yes, please. I'll just give you like a quick little example. Okay. So yeah, like let's say we wanted to connect. I don't know. Here, let me find two topics to connect. So quadratic formulas and completing the square. Okay. So let's do quadratic formula. And formula, and let's say completing the square. So you're more than welcome to steal this one if it's not already on your topic map. So quadratic formula, I might just give a quick demonstration of what it is, and maybe I should use a bullet so it's not mistaken with a negative sign. So the quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, and you can say that this is the solution to x squared or ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, and you could also say that this finds x-intercepts. And if you use just like one of those, I would be totally fine with that. But there's three little bullets about the quadratic formula. Completing the square. So completing the square can take a quadratic in standard form and turn it into vertex form. Okay, and also it's useful for graphing. Okay, so there's these two topics, and then if I want to connect them, I'm just going to do kind of like a round one just because I'm running out of room here. But if I wanted to connect these, I would say, well, to derive the quadratic formula, we complete the square. Okay, and I would say that this is like a very thorough connection. They don't all have to be that thorough. You could also just, I mean, that is how these two things are connected. So I wouldn't actually change it, but like the quadratic formula and like maybe or how about completing the square and graphing quadratics? Here, I'll give you three that you can steal. Graphing quadratics. These are connected by saying to graph ax squared plus bx plus c, you complete the square. Complete the square. Just something really like brief. I know that my writing is really messy right now. Just the position of my iPad is a little bit awkward. So yeah, it doesn't have to be a super thorough connection, but just something along these lines. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Are there any questions about the project, about like the format of the project, about handing it in or anything like that? Yeah, absolutely. I have had a few submissions so far. Like I said, I know that one of my grade 10 students is doing a video. Actually, two of them are working together for the video. They asked if they could collaborate. I was totally fine with it. If you would like to collaborate with somebody else, like to do a pairing, I'm okay with that. But I would like to know about it ahead of time. One student is doing a video. Oh, pardon me, go ahead. Oh, I thought I heard someone say my name. So one person or two people are doing a video together. I've got one just like regular document, just like a traditional paper. I have one slideshow, I think they're using Google Slides, like a little presentation. I have one infographic, so someone just made like a nice looking image that just has some bullet points on two different topics, how those two topics are related to the real world, and then a little section on their on how they're related. So yeah, it looked really nice. There was little pictures and stuff, and it looked kind of like one of those little infographics that you might see on the internet, you know, where they take sort of a complicated topic and break it down with pictures and stuff. Yeah, so there's a lot of different things that you can do. I think one of my calculus students, she's doing an animation, which is going to be pretty interesting. I think that's going to be a lot of work. I wouldn't really recommend that for everybody, but that's definitely one option. And yeah, like, surprised me. Like, if you wanted to write a computer program in Java that like does two things at once or something like that, that would be a cool connection. Like, I think that there's a lot of pretty cool stuff that you wanted to do, or that you could do if you wanted. Yeah, just my only thing is just if you do submit something, just make sure it's something that I can view fairly easily. For example, if you wanted to like do something in Minecraft or something, make sure that I have the right edition of Minecraft to view your work. Or if you wanted to write a computer program, like, don't write it in a program that I would like need to purchase software to compile or something like that. Please use like an open source kind of program, or at least a free to compile type of program. So yeah, just think of it just in a way that as long as you can communicate your understanding of these two topics and communicate a way that these topics are connected, that's completely fine by me. So are there any other questions about the project, like in terms of the form or choosing the topics, or like the scope, like how deep to go into this, or anything like that? Or are you guys feeling okay about it? So scope would just be like, how deeply did you investigate the topics? So I guess you could kind of go into, like, if you wanted, think of it like level 1, level 2, level 3. So like, to talk about scope is to talk about how deeply did you investigate a specific topic. So yeah, scope would be like a small scope would be, like level 1, like, oh, my scope is that I reviewed a few definitions. I was able to do some basic solving. Kind of like a mid-level scope would be that, you were able to apply some definitions, you were able to explain things, you were able to identify some common errors. And then a level 3 kind of a scope, like that kind of depth into a topic would be problem solving and relating them to other topics and explaining processes and stuff, just like it's written here. So you can think of scope in terms of like level 1, level 2, level 3 types of questioning. This document is in PDF on Google Classroom. Yeah. Let me just double check. I believe I posted it either yesterday or the day before. Yeah, grade 11 pre-calculus. Yeah, it's I posted it on June 6th, so that was Saturday. So yeah, it should be available by PDF to everybody. So yeah, be a useful thing to hold on to, put into a Dropbox folder or something like that. Print it out, put it in your binder. I think that this will be really useful, even just to like have in your binder for next year, right? Just like a little cheat sheet of the things that we did last year. It's not too long. It's what, not including the first page. It's 5 pages long. So, and not all of them are even full pages. Like, I think a lot of these you could probably, do some of the solutions like right on the page and then plus like the back page, right? So it might be a good thing to just have on hand. So, any other questions? Are you guys going to start today? The topic back, sweet. Good. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, you can do it digitally. It does not have to be done on pencil and paper. But just like the project, just make sure that I can view it. So just like don't send like an obscure file format that I need to purchase some software to view. And I don't imagine that you would do that anyways, but it's worth just pointing out. Just send me a JPEG or something, or if you want, you could do a PowerPoint or something as well, or like some equivalent of that, like a Google Slides type of thing. There's lots of ways that you can show a connection. You could make a website if you really wanted to, but yeah, it does not have to be paper pencil for the topic map. Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? No, it sounds like you guys are good. So I'm not going to worry about you. But hopefully when we talk next on Wednesday, we'll have started the project, and we can start sort of talking about maybe, yeah, just some of the snags that you faced on your project. Yeah, hopefully we'll have some time between now and then to get started and do a topic map, or kind of write some of our ideas down for the 2 topics in our project. And yeah, I look forward to seeing these things. So yeah, I'm gonna go, and I'll talk to you guys on Wednesday then. See you later. Bye bye.